Yo, 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 what it is, what it was, what's it gonna be?
Welcome.
Welcome to the latest episode of the Gen Expertise Podcast, episode 40, entitled Dead Poets Society Volume 2, Curtis Mayfield. We are your hosts, Main and Rants, aka
Welcome.
you know us, we're your friends, your main boys to the end. We're your podcasters. What's good, homie?
Everything's good, man. How you feeling?
Put a little bass guitar in there for us, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, everything is good, man. Starting to heat up here in New York City. Got a little 88-degree day today. Took the kids out to the park with the family
Nice.
day. You
That's
know?
nice. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man.
Finally heating up in NYC.
Finally heating up. We're about to get a stretch. We're about to get a little mini New York heat wave for about 4 days. And then it's going to hit like 56, 60 again or something crazy like that.
It's only right.
It's only right, son. That's how we do it. You never know. Keep you on your toes here in the NYC, man. So, Dead Poet Society Volume 2, back by popular demand. Kind of. So
I'm sure somebody out there is demanding it.
I'm sure somebody out there, you know, we give the people what they want. Or in this case, we give the person what they want. We started off with Gil Scott-Heron, and today we're switching it off into another one of our series because we like to do series. You know, we do movies, we do books, we do TV shows and artists. So today we're going with Curtis Mayfield, known as the Gentle Genius, son.
The Gentle Genius. I didn't know that.
Yeah. They referred to him as a gentle genius. One of the great singer-songwriters of our time. Some people have even called him the father or the godfather of the message music era. So we're gonna talk about his impact on us and the music, and of course, you know, like I did in Gil Scott-Heron, man, I have a few lyrics from a few of his songs.
Okay.
That I may see. I might sing one too.
You might sing.
I think I'm gonna sing one of them. I gotta sing one of them today.
Yeah, everybody gotta be looking forward to that.
Yeah. So, Mr. Curtis Mayfield, born June 3rd, 1942, north side of Chicago. He was I saw that he was one of 5 and he was one of 7. So he was either 5, he either had 5 siblings or 7 siblings. It was a lot of them.
Yeah, the research on him like shows like a few numbers that I saw when I started researching Curtis Mayfield more. The numbers are a little bit off depending on the source.
Yeah.
So it's between 5 and 7, I guess.
It's between 5 and 7. He had a lot of siblings. He had a single mother, and his father left him at 5 years old. So they moved around until they settled into the Cabrini Green projects in Chicago. Which is no longer there.
Chicago seems to be kind of a fertile ground for artists and for like great minds, you know.
Yeah.
That it just strikes me when we talk about Curtis Mayfield and him being from Chicago. Gil Scott-Heron was also actually born in Chicago, right? And then, of course, Kanye West. You know, for better or worse, like whatever you think of Kanye West right now. At one time, I'm sure you could recognize that Kanye was also a genius in his own right in terms of music and lyrical ability and also putting music together. Making arrangements, right? So it's just interesting. I feel like Chicago is one of those places where it's like a mecca for art and especially like prolific lyricists.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Since it is prolific. Where there's hunger, there's creativity. You know, I always thought of Kanye. I always say this. He's the Van Gogh of hip hop, son.
You think so?
I think Van Gogh was a tortured soul. Do you know what I'm saying?
Didn't Van Gogh cut off his own ear?
Yes, Van Gogh cut off his ear. So he was a tortured soul, but he was a genius. And I know art major who put me on was saying that they think that Van Gogh might have went crazy. That's why, well, he did go crazy, but they think that he went crazy from lead poisoning because in those times they painted with a lot of lead, and he painted in a room with a
Mm,
small window. And if you look at his self-portrait, his lips are kind of purple in his self-portrait. That
mm.
is like a sign of lead poisoning. So they think that he might have just went crazy from lead poisoning. That's the reason
Interesting.
why Van Gogh like bugged out, cut his ears off and stuff like that. Then he put it in a box and give it to someone and anything. But that's neither here or there. But I always consider Kanye our Van Gogh of hip hop, the tortured genius. Also from Cabrini Green
Mm,
was who we will get into. Also is Jerry Butler and Ramsey Lewis, the great jazz pianist,
mm,
was
mm.
also from Cabrini Green, which they tore down. I'm not sure the year that they tore them down, but they're no longer there. So one of the influences on Curtis Mayfield growing up was his grandmother, who was let me get her name, Annabelle Mayfield. She was a reverend. His grandmother was a reverend, and he started singing at 7, and he was singing with the Northern Jubilee Gospel Singers. So that's where he started off. And there's also where he met Mr. Jerry Butler,
Right. Because
where they met at an early age. He got his first guitar at 10 years old, and he self-taught. He couldn't read music. He was self-taught, and he slept with his guitar, it says. I read that he slept. He loved his guitar so much, and he loved music so much that he slept with it. When he met Jerry Butler at the age of 14, they forged the Impressions, the group The Impressions, but they were first known as the Roosters.
yeah, I saw actually I saw a documentary about Curtis Mayfield recently, right?
Mm-hmm.
And his mother is actually interviewed in this particular documentary, and she says that at first, Butler didn't want to let Curtis Mayfield into the group. They were
Yeah,
friends,
yeah,
but Curtis Mayfield was younger, and they felt that he was too young to be
yeah.
part of the group.
He's
But then
14. Mm-hmm.
when it came time to get more serious, Curtis Mayfield was the only one that could play the guitar. She said, she
Yes.
said that he was the only one that picked up the guitar and taught himself how to play. And at that point, they had to let him in because they needed somebody to accompany them when they
Mm-hmm.
were, when they were first starting out. So
Yeah.
that's how that's how he wound up getting into the group. But thank goodness, right?
Yeah.
But she said that he was really, always curious, always singing, like from the time he was little.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so when he got that guitar, he wound up being the only person in the neighborhood or the only person amongst his friend group and his family that picked it up and started and just started playing and taught himself, right?
Yeah.
And he had a unique way of we'll probably get into this a little later, but
Open F
they said,
sharp.
yeah, his unique way of tuning it was accounts for like the style and the sound that you hear from him, right? Because at the
Yeah.
time he had a very unique sound as compared to his peers, right? And that was extremely important at the time, was that you be kind of able to kind of distinguish yourself from
Mm-hmm.
other artists, right? Like people needed to hear you and be able to identify who you were right away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Some of his early influences was Muddy Waters and a Spanish musician called Andre Segovia.
Hmm.
Those were his early influences. And as Maine said, he tuned his guitar a certain way. As a matter of fact, there was only a few people in the world that can play the guitar the way Curtis Mayfield plays a guitar. He was self-taught, and he couldn't read music. So but what he could do is he could play the piano. So he tuned his guitar in what's called an open F sharp,
Hmm.
and that's what it was called. And I played a little piano as a kid. I wanted to play the sax or the drums, but my mother put me in piano lessons, which I didn't like, so I never really took to it. But so he tuned his guitar to the black keys instead of the ivory keys, and he tuned it in six, from low to high, six. So it said 6 strings: F sharp, A sharp, C sharp, F sharp, A sharp, and F sharp. That was from low to high. So all you musicians out there, they'll know more of what we're talking about when we say that. But I saw a video where they were saying that people would pick up his guitar, and they were like, how the heck do you play the guitar this way? I guess to reference it to to draw some type of comparison, if anybody's out there is a Japanese anime fan, or you read manga, right? If you read manga and the Shonen Jumps, the Naruto's and the One Pieces, when you pick up a manga, here we read from left to right. When you pick up a manga, you read from right to left. So it's almost like he tuned backwards. So they said that his guitar sounded like a piano. One of the guitarists that he had a heavy influence on was Jimi Hendrix. They said Jimi Hendrix, when he was, because, you know, Jimi Hendrix used to play guitar for the Isley Brothers, I believe. So he would go and he would wait and he would catch Curtis Mayfield's set. And as one of his band members said, that there's certain, I think it's sand castles made of sand, or there's a couple of songs that Jimi Hendrix plays where they say Curtis Mayfield's fingerprint is all over some of his playing, and that's arguably the greatest guitar to ever do it. And Curtis Mayfield heavily influenced him in the way he played. And they said Jimmy was probably the only person at the time that could pick up his guitar and play it. And even he was like, "Yo, man, what?"
Right.
You know. So Curtis was a real musician.
Right.
He was a real musician. And they said it just sung, especially with his falsetto voice, was just so smooth that it literally sounded like it was a piano. As musicians said, you know, we listen to the music and we know the music, but we're not musicians like that. So anybody who's listening that's a musician, they understand exactly what we're talking about.
Sure.
So in 1956, the Impressions formed, and they're responsible for hits such as "It's All Right." It's all right to have a good time. It's all right. I'm so proud. And of course, People Get Ready, which is one of the songs they're very famous for. So in the 60s and the 70s, if you're a Gen Xer, the Impressions were responsible for a lot of the music that your mother and father were making out to in the basement parties. And the house parties back in those days. And he was only 14 years old.
Right.
Which is amazing.
He said that he also he wrote Gypsy Woman.
Yeah.
At 12 years old. Right. So
wow,
this gives you
I didn't
an
know that.
impression. Yeah, this gives you kind of the impression of like how young he was when he was writing and starting to make music. So yeah, man, he's definitely a prodigy, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a prodigy. So the group was him, Jerry Butler, and I forgot the third guy's name, and I don't even have it written down. But it was three of them.
So there's a few people that came in and out, right? Like so the names is Sam Gooden.
Yes.
Leroy Hudson was at one point at least part of the group. Arthur Brooks, Richard Brooks, Reggie Torian, Willie Kitchens, and Vandy Hampton.
Oh.
So
there you go. And my brother's keeper. Man got my back. There you go with the assist.
Yeah, some of them are listed as like former members, and some of them are listed as members. So I take that like, you know, I think it was originally 4 of them, and then people would kind of go in and out of the group, right? And I think if I'm not mistaken, Jerry Butler left after they had their first hit. He went solo.
Yeah.
And then he would eventually go on to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and you know, but another fun fact is that the Impressions really didn't take to Curtis Mayfield's messaging.
Yeah.
They wanted to be R&B singers, right? And they wanted to just sing about the ladies and sing about love. And then Curtis Mayfield would eventually go on to want to really, really, you know, inject his music with a message. And the other members of the Impressions, they weren't really interested in that. Not that they were against it per se, but sometimes he would come up with something, they would sing it, and it wasn't until like way after that they would realize, wait a minute.
Yeah, hold on a second.
They would go over the lyrics and be like, wow, this is really saying something. So they were surprising themselves by the time they were done with some of Curtis Mayfield's arrangements. They didn't even realize until after the fact that there was a message in their music, right? But that was something that they weren't as interested in as him, I found out. And that would lead him to go solo and really take over his own destiny, right? And make sure that he was able to do that and do it without any protest or even from the label. He was so prolific that he kind of got carte blanche to do what he wanted. After
Yeah.
because he was doing so well.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's a little fun fact.
Yeah. After Jerry Butler left, actually the group got dropped from the record label as well.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah, when he left, the group got dropped. And then they were picked up in 1961 by ABC Paramount Records, who decided to give them a chance in 1961. And once they got signed to ABC Paramount, literally Curtis Mayfield wrote everything. So I guess that's why they were like they didn't like it, but they were sticking
Yeah.
around because he
Yeah,
was
they,
just
they said
penning
that he was
hit
the
after
creative.
hit.
Yeah, he was the
Hmm.
creative kind of engine behind the impressions, right? And they say that, like I said, like I just watched a documentary about him, and the other members of the group were definitely saying that he was the creative engine behind everything they did. So
Hmm.
sometimes he would even surprise them with with some of the songs he would come up with, but
Yeah.
they just went with it.
Yeah, and he stayed with them until 1970, and that's when he broke off and went solo, did his own thing.
Right.
And that's when he dropped the album Curtis, a self-entitled album
Mm.
Curtis, and on that was The Makings of You, which we talked about in um the previous episode where oh my gosh, son, what Claudine in the
Yeah, we
Claudine.
talked about Claudine. It's on the
Mhm.
soundtrack for Claudine, where Gladys Knight and the Pips actually do
Yeah.
the music for Claudine, but it's all
Mhm.
written by Curtis Mayfield, right?
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I actually, you know, I guess an unpopular opinion, but I like their version better than
Gladys Knight
Kurt.
and the Pips?
Yeah,
You know why?
when I hear the makings of you, like I really don't think of Curtis Mayfield, and when I've heard his version of it, like I've heard it
Mhm.
years, for years now. I've been hearing his version, but if I had to pick, I really, really love Gladys Knight and the Pips version of the makings of you. It I don't know. It doesn't even sound like Curtis Mayfield remembers the song. Kind of. I don't know. It's a
Yeah.
strange, and this is very bad. I feel bad for saying this, but because we're doing an episode about him,
Mhm.
and God bless him. Rest in peace to him. And I know he's a genius, and
Mhm.
I'm a big fan. But that particular song, when I hear it, I would really prefer to hear Gladys Knight's version of it.
Yeah.
And you're looking at me like,
No, but
like you wanna
look,
like you wanna cut my mic.
but
Like cut his mic
so
off.
my favorite version is the Curtis Mayfield version, but I understand completely why you like the Gladys Knight and the Pips version, because if you watch Claudine, right, his version, his original version that he's saying that he wrote doesn't really fit. I feel like Gladys Knight's voice, the way she sang it, the woman's touch to it. You know what I mean? It's a
Right.
love story. The feeling that you get when you hear Gladys Knight sings it fits 100% with the movie. Like
So
if I didn't see the movie and I just heard the song by Curtis Mayfield, I would love the Curtis Mayfield version, which I do because I heard that version before I saw the actual movie. But when
right.
I watched the movie, I was like, oh man, I was like, this fits. Her voice just fits.
So that's an excellent point, because maybe it's also that the first time I ever heard the song was the Gladys Knight version from Claudine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that probably affected me, because I see that as the original in terms of, like, at least me hearing it. I know it's not, but I
Yeah.
know for me that was the first time I ever heard it. And you're right that it fits the movie so perfectly,
Mm-hmm.
and even the arrangement of the instruments
The
is better.
strings
Like,
and all
yeah,
of
it's
that. Yeah,
it's a
man.
better arrangement in terms of
Mm-hmm.
instrumentation than Curtis Mayfield's version that's on the Curtis album, to be honest with
Mm-hmm.
you. Like
Yeah. So,
you
well,
giving me that look again, like you want to cut my mic.
I got nah, I feel where you coming though. It's just I think it's just a matter of when you heard it and what you associate it with. I think that's basically what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
You know
and
what I'm
and
saying?
and
Like,
don't get me
yeah,
wrong, like the song is a beautiful song anyway. Well, and Curtis
yes.
Mayfield is, I'm a big fan. Don't get me wrong. It's just that like that particular song like hits me a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
and it always has. And I guess, I think it's mainly because, like you said, because of the Claudine movie and the
Yeah.
way it fits into that movie, and kind of it just brings me back to that time as a kid
Mm-hmm.
watching that, and like my my mother put me onto that movie. So it's like, you know,
Hmm.
it has just a certain special place for me.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I heard the song, right? So yeah.
Hmm. As we said earlier, Curtis Mayfield is known as like the father or the godfather of the message music era of the
Uh-huh.
'60s, and his music was played during the Selma March. I found out like they were singing and playing it during the Selma March, and also the Freedom Riders would sing it before they got off the bus or when they would get off the bus to get them prepared to go and do what they had to do. And one of the songs is called Keep On Pushing.
Yeah.
All right, and it's I've got to keep on pushing. I can't stop now. Move up a little higher, some way, somehow. 'Cause I've got my strength and it don't make sense not to keep on pushing. Hallelujah, hallelujah. So that's the one of the songs that they would sing while they were getting ready.
Yeah.
This is why he became known as like the father of the message music and some of the most powerful songs during the civil rights movement, you
Yeah,
know?
some people say that he was pretty much the soundtrack for the civil rights movement,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Because of not only that song, but songs like, you know, People Get Ready,
Yeah.
Move On Up.
Yeah.
What's the other one? Is it We're a Winner?
Yeah, I believe it's We're a Winner. Or
Yeah,
You're
We're
a
a
Winner
Winner.
or We're a Winner.
I
It's
think
You're a
I think
Winner.
it's I
Yeah.
think it's what We're a Winner. Now,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure it's We're a Winner, right? Um, yeah, with just all those type of songs. Because the thing about Curtis that was also unique is that he didn't really care if he made it to the airwaves or not in terms of like radio play.
Mhm.
And that's what endeared him also to like, the civil rights movement in terms of like the activists that were heavily involved. He got a lot of respect for the fact that he wasn't trying to just make R&B music, right? Like he wasn't just trying to make love songs. He was making songs that spoke to the times. And you
Mhm.
know, like I think who was it that said Nina Simone actually says this, right? Like where I saw like, and this is a little bit of segue, but bear with me. Nina Simone says in an interview that and I'm paraphrasing here, she says that it's kind of the duty of an artist to reflect the times, and otherwise you're not really doing your duty as an artist. And I think that Curtis Mayfield felt the same exact way, like that as an artist, he was reflecting the times. He was reflecting what he was going through himself, what he was witnessing, what he's observing, and reflecting the views of his own community, right?
Mhm.
And he did that regardless of what he would lose in terms of airplay. Because at the time, what I was seeing is that the radio stations were actually scared to play him for fear that they would lose sponsorship,
Mhm.
right? But he didn't care. He kept making the music that he wanted to make, right? And thank goodness he did, right? Because I think one of the things with him is that his music is very melodic with that message. So it's beautiful, you know, composition, it's beautiful arrangement. His voice fits perfectly. He has a very, very unique voice too, like that,
Mhm.
like a falsetto sound that you don't really hear anymore, or at least not much, or at least not in that is a very, very distinct Curtis Mayfield sound that you know when you hear it. So you combine all of that and then you put a message in it as well is genius, and I think that's why the music lasts even until today, where like you still hear it and it still hits you in a certain way.
He kind of forced his way in the door. He wrote all of these hits, so they had 20 R&B hits and 12 plus crossover pop chart hits. So he couldn't be denied,
Right,
you know?
right.
And we were talking earlier about how we did the episode on Gil Scott Heron, and they're so similar, but they're so different at the same time because Gil Scott Heron was more like kicking the door, waving the 4-4 type. You know what I mean? And
Right.
Gil Scott Heron, and Curtis Mayfield with that unassuming falsetto, it was so melodic. Like you find yourself, even his own bandmates found themselves singing lyrics to songs that they had no idea because the music was so good. So you have two artists with the same mission that went about it two totally different ways.
Right, exactly, exactly, and that's exactly what I was trying to say too. Like, Curtis Mayfield was really melodic, undeniable musicality, right? So
Mhm.
so no matter what you feel about the message, it's still it's still a bop, as they say, like, right, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the music slaps, so you're
Mhm.
gonna get that message no matter what. Like, no matter what, you're gonna get this work, right?
Yeah.
And then when you compare him to somebody like Gil Scott Heron, it feels like you said, the mission is the same in terms of like, you know, being a spokesperson for a generation and being a spokesperson for your people and your community, and for yourself, right? Like, because you're part of that, and you're trying to get across like what you're going through as well. But Gil Scott Heron seemed like he wasn't as interested in whether or not you cared for the melody, right? Like he was really, really about the spoken word, and very, very like kind of direct in his message, where it felt like Curtis Mayfield was trying to give you a palatable kind of melody, but
Yeah.
I don't think he was able. He couldn't help but to give you a message, because just the topics that he was talking about, you know, you can't help but to get a message out.
What do they say? There's more than one way to skin a cat?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
You know, and People Get Ready was ranked 24th out of 500 songs ever by the Rolling Stone, and it was also the soundtrack to the movie like The Million Man March. What's the movie on The
Just
Million Man
get on the
March?
bus. Get on the
Get on
bus.
the bus. Get on the
Yeah,
bus. Yeah, Get on the Bus was one of the soundtracks to The Million Man March. Which did you go to The Million Man March?
I did not. I
I
missed
was
it.
sick.
I'm I missed it.
When
Long
I was in
story.
school when I was in school, they had the buses. When
Yeah,
we were in college, they had the buses ready. You know they did for me because I went to
yeah.
HBCU. And I was so sick that week. Like I missed a whole week of class and everything like that. I couldn't. I remember someone came to knock on my door to get me. He's like, "Rance, come on, let's go." And he opened the door and he was like, "You know what? You need to stay. You need to stay here, brother." I was so
Yeah.
sick
I was
that I
actually
missed it.
too late. I was
Mhm.
actually too late in deciding whether or not to go, to be honest with
Uh-huh.
you. Because I was on the fence.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking like, wow, what could happen here? You know,
Yeah.
to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I got denied like right at the bus, because I decided like at the very last minute, and it was just too late. Like you
Space
kind
was
of had to,
filling up, boy.
yeah, you had to kind of like sign up or
Mhm.
commit to going in advance. So I thought
Yeah.
like, hey, this, you know, they'll let me on if I just show up, right?
Yeah.
It's a million man march. Right? what's
Yeah.
what's one more man?
Yeah, man.
But I got denied.
Yes.
Right at the steps of the bus. They were like, we don't have your name here.
Yeah.
No go.
No go.
Um,
Once Curtis Mayfield left in 1970, that's when he had his self-entitled album Curtis, which I believe that's the album that outsold. Was that the album that outsold the Godfather soundtrack? That might have been the album that his album outsold the Godfather
mm,
soundtrack, like knocked that off. I think it was the Curtis album. But little known fact, I don't know, did you notice that in 1968, because he was fed up, he always wanted to keep his own stuff and he didn't want to get ripped off by the record companies. He founded his own music publishing company called Curtos,
I didn't
and
know that.
he basically owned his music,
Right.
right?
And part of the documentary that I watched on him, he's being interviewed, right? And
Mhm.
he says he says that he was really, really kind of insecure about not owning the rights to himself. You know,
Yeah.
like he said he wanted to own as much of himself as he possibly could.
Mhm.
And one of the reasons that he got into music in the first place was kind of like the yellow brick road type of mentality, that this is a way to get to all his goals and his dreams, right? So
Mhm.
but part of that dream was to own as much of himself as possible, right? And the folks around him, like his peer group, they all said that he was extremely savvy in terms of business, right? Like they said that at a time where if he couldn't go get his music, you know, get the copyright officially, he would send it in the mail, because at the time, like if you send it through the mail, you have an official kind of date
An
stamp.
official stamp, yeah.
Right. You have an official date stamp, so that would count as sort of a poor man's copyright, they call
Oh,
it.
it's like a
Right.
certified mail almost. It's
Yes.
basically certified,
Right.
yeah, and it's a copyright.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you keep that sealed, you basically have proof that you wrote that at a certain time, because it's the, you know, it's the United States Post Office
Mhm.
sealing and certifying that, you know, this is the mail, this is the date that it went
Mhm.
through. So they used to call that a poor man's copyright. So if he didn't have time to right away get to Library of Congress and officially get a copyright, he would copyright using that method too, because he
Yeah.
was going to make sure that he owned the rights to his own music, right?
Yeah, he was ahead of his time, man,
Yeah, yeah.
you know? And he
Yeah.
was the first. I believe he was the first to own his own music, like one of the first to have his own music publishing company. And then he turned that into a full label called Curdo as well. And many of Donny Hathaway's early music came out on Curdo Records.
You know what's funny? It's funny you mentioned that I did not know, right? But it's crazy because as I'm kind of like digging deeper into like Curtis's career, right? Like I'm thinking to myself, like, wow, like the only person that I get that similar feeling from is Donny Hathaway, right? And I was just thinking that like this week, Donny Hathaway has a similar kind of feel when you listen to the music, right? Like even Donny Hathaway, when he tries to put a message in the music, I shouldn't say tries, but there's a message in Donny Hathaway's music almost in the same exact way as Curtis Mayfield's music. So I didn't know that fact, but that doesn't surprise me that much because there's something there. There's a synergy there that can't be coincidence, right?
Yeah.
There has to be an influence.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, because you know you like that soul. Maine loves that soul. He's a soul brother. Soul brother number one. And nothing's more soulful than Donny Hathaway, man. You got
Yeah,
Donny
I'm a
Hathaway and
big
Curtis
fan.
Mayfield.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Donny Hathaway. I'm also a big fan of Curtis Mayfield. And I didn't know that they were even like that closely associated. But when you say that, I'm like, oh, that makes sense now. Because
Yeah.
Donny Hathaway, I was thinking about that this week as I'm like kind of researching, and we talked about Curtis Mayfield earlier this week. Donny Hathaway is the only person that comes close to that feeling, right? Yeah, like Young Gifted, when he sings Young Gifted and Black. Give me some more. Give me another one. Give
Take
me
it
another.
from me. Someday we'll all be
Yes,
free.
someday we'll all be free.
Which was actually here's a key. That was written by a white man.
Really?
Yeah, so it was a really good friend of his. I can't remember the man's name. But he wrote that song for Donny Hathaway because if you know, Donny Hathaway suffered from mental health issues.
Yeah.
And he had deep dives of depression. You know, so he wrote this song. They were very close friends, and he wrote this song for Donny Hathaway specifically because, you know, he wrote it as like an anthem for a black anthem, but also an anthem for his friend who always suffered from depression. So when he goes, hang on to the world as it spins around. Yeah, just don't let
the spin
get you down. Yeah. So things up. Yeah. So it's
good
like
thing we're not
take it from me.
monetized.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So
good thing we're not monetized yet, or we'd be demonetized.
Yeah, in a heartbeat. So, you know, he wrote that song for his friend to basically tell him
that
like,
also makes sense.
You know, like, dude, like, you know, get up out of this. You're talented. You're this. You're that. And it was also like an anthem, so it had a 2-in-1 meaning.
That also makes a lot of sense, Rance, because when you as you go over those lyrics, it does sound like a friend talking to another friend, right? Like it sounds like somebody that cares about you talking to you directly.
Yeah.
Right? Like hang on to the world as it spins around. Just don't let the spin get you down. Things are moving fast. Hold on tight and you will last.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really sounds like a poem that you would write to a good friend, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that's deep, man. This is getting this is getting to the bottom of the ocean. It's getting to the bottom of things. Yeah, we're getting to the bottom of this.
And for those, if you've never listened to Donny Hathaway, you need to listen to that Donny Hathaway. And also,
you've heard Donny Hathaway. Like so for those of you that don't even know or not familiar with Donny Hathaway, if you heard This Christmas, then you've heard Donny Hathaway. Like every Christmas you've heard Donny Hathaway or some version of This Christmas. But there's other songs that you know, like Where Is the Love, where Roberta Flack. Where is the love? So you've heard these songs.
Back together again with Roberta Flack.
Right.
Yeah. They sang a few songs together. They had some hits together. They were very close friends.
So you've heard these songs, but you may not have kind of associated them with the artist, right? Like, because that happens a lot of times, especially as generations pass. You know, you hear these songs because they kind of last the test of time, but you don't always associate them exactly like I said with the artist because they last on the radio or they last you know, for seasons, or whatever the case may be. Or like you said, like every time there's some sort of particular event where it makes sense, they'll
Mhm.
play Curtis Mayfield. Like if there's some sort of anything that has to do with, especially like if there's some civil rights talk going on, if there's some place where people are gathering and there's it has something to do with a fight for their rights
Yeah.
or something like that. Like Curtis Mayfield comes up because he is the person with the soundtrack for that type of thing, right?
Mhm.
But I don't think people always associate these songs that they're hearing with the artist anymore, especially as time passes. You sort of lose track of like who's responsible for these things, and especially
Yeah.
as people do cover songs and things get sampled,
Yeah.
you kind of forget like, okay, this came from this person, right?
Mhm. And also for you guys, you Donny Hathaway fans out there as well, and people that don't know who he is, like I said, go you need to listen to him.
Well, yeah,
But one of the slept on songs that he does a remake on the Donny Hathaway Live album where he does a remake of Yesterday by the Beatles.
I never heard that. I've
Oh
never heard that.
man, bro, bro,
That sounds like
yo,
something that make you cry. You know, I don't
let
want to
me
hear
tell you
that.
something, bro. Let me tell you something. Well, the first of all, the cover of Donny Hathaway Live is like him sweating like Luther Vandross. You know Luther Vandross.
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
the wedding song that Luther Vandross sang? And that's was the big time wedding song. Oh, Luther Vandross.
If this world were mine,
No, no, there's a wedding song that Luther has. Well, and in the video, Luther is just sweating, yo. I mean, he is sweating, bro. He has the Jerry curl action going. He's just sweating, and he's singing. Donny Hathaway is just singing the heck out of Yesterday, written by the Beatles. So it's Yesterday by Donny Hathaway on the Donny
mm,
Hathaway Live. Yo,
that
I think
sounds
it's
like a
like 5, 6
tearjerker.
minutes. Yo, son.
I don't know if I don't know when I'm gonna be in the right state of mind to listen to that.
Yeah, man.
Because that
Yeah.
sounds like you got to be in a happy
Yeah,
mood
it's dope.
first. You got to
It's
start
dope.
out a certain baseline.
Yeah,
I got,
because it's live too.
yeah, I
It's
got to start
live.
out up here before I do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't
Yeah.
listen to that and not be in a great mood because I know that's gonna send me right into shambles. Like
Yeah,
I,
man. Yeah, he does a great cover of that. Like he just takes it
yeah.
like the highs, he takes it up, he takes it down, yo,
He
he
has a
takes it.
very
It's really good.
emotional his
Yeah,
the sound of his voice is very extremely emotional, man. Like so
yeah, yeah.
I could just
He sounds like
imagine.
he always sings with his eyes closed.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like his eyes tightly closed and he's just singing. Yeah, so
He sounds like he's always on the verge of breaking down. Like whenever
mm-hmm.
whenever I hear some of his songs, I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, is he about to cry?
Yeah, man.
Because it's so emotional, man, and it's so soulful that,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, it's
Yeah,
interesting,
so
man.
he
But
has ties. He has ties to Curtis Mayfield. So
yeah,
even though we did
that's
just
not
go off on a
surprising.
tangent,
Hey, it's relevant.
we grabbed the thread. Yeah, it's all relevant. We grabbed the
Yeah,
thread and we pieced it together.
it's all
Hmm.
relevant, man. And he's another one of the, you know, he deserves to be part of the, you know, this Dead Poets Society
Yeah.
homage, you know, we paying as well, right?
Hmm.
So but I didn't know there was that connection. But like
Yeah.
I said, like I felt that already, you know, in a way,
Hmm.
you know, because the message and the way the music makes you feel is very
Yeah.
similar.
Hmm. And Curtis Mayfield, then he also did the soundtrack to Let's Do It Again.
Yeah.
Yeah, son, with
Yeah. Another good one.
Bill Cosby, Sidney Poitier, and JJ Jimmy Walker as Bootney Lee Farnsworth, son.
Yeah,
And
that's another goodie. That's a goodie.
yeah, that was from like so Bill Cosby and Sidney Poitier. I think they did 3 movies together, right? But they're most famous for Uptown Saturday Night and Let's
Yes.
Do It Again, which is
Yeah.
kind of like the
What was the
sequel to
third like
Uptown
what was
Saturday
the
Night.
third one? Like can you name the third
I
one they
can't
did?
remember the third one, but they did like a series of movie where they was really hot. But
They
Let's Do It Again.
they were almost like what can you compare them to now? Like Bad Boys? Like because it was I think that's a bad comparison because it wasn't like because Bad Boys is a big budget action film, but I feel like
Yeah,
Sidney Poitier and Bill Cosby had like a good little run. And
yeah,
the chemistry between them on film was like
was insane.
Yeah, it was so funny, and you don't really see Sidney Poitier being funny
Yeah.
after that, right? Like Sidney Poitier is a serious actor.
Hmm.
So when you see him acting alongside Bill Cosby and they're doing a comedy, it really shows like Sidney Poitier's, his depth and his breadth of talent, right? Because
Yeah.
before
And
I saw that,
he played the straight man. He was the straight man and Bill Cosby was the comedy
yes,
man. So
he plays it,
it's
but
like
he's still
Jerry and
funny.
Dean.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like he's the straight
Hmm.
man, but yes,
Yeah.
that is a perfect. That's what I was looking for. Like, what can we compare this to, right?
Yeah.
So Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis had a good run, series of movies that they did together,
Hmm.
right? And they used to go on stage together too and perform sometimes.
Hmm.
But yeah, Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis had their run, but I feel like Bill Cosby and Sidney Poitier were like kind of like the black version or
Yeah.
the black version of that for us,
Yeah.
in comedy too, right? Where you
Yeah.
had the straight man, like you said, as Sidney Poitier, he would play that straight man, and
Hmm.
Bill Cosby would play the comedic, the comedic friend,
Yeah.
and and together it was like a really really good combination, man.
Yo,
I almost wish they had done more together.
that movie was hilarious. So, if anybody, of course, everybody knows the notorious B.I.G. R.I.P. He originally went by the name of Biggie Smalls, and that's where he got the name Biggie Smalls from. Biggie Smalls was the gangster
Right.
in the movie Let's Do It Again. And basically, Let's Do It
Wasn't
Again.
it and wasn't it played was it played by John Amos?
No, he played somebody else. He's the Uptown Biggie Smalls was Calvin. I think hold on, I'm gonna look him up. I think his name was Calvin Burnett. I almost want to
Okay.
say Calvin Burnett, but
Okay. But but
John Amos
But
played.
John Amos is in the movie, right?
Yeah, he was the other
Okay.
gangster. His name was
Yeah.
hold on. Let's see. Let's Do It Again. John Amos where's the cast? Let's see. Let's Do It Again cast. Calvin Lockhart played Biggie Smalls.
Okay. Okay.
And then John Amos played Kansas City Mac. His name
Yeah,
was
okay.
Kansas City Mac.
Interesting, because now you got Craig Mack coming out with Biggie Smalls at the same time. I wonder if
Mm-hmm.
at the time
If there
did he
was a
just put those
similarity,
together? Like, no, I think maybe Diddy was like, all right, we got Biggie Smalls, we got Mac,
we got
Craig
Mac.
Mack,
Mm-hmm.
right? You got
Yeah.
Kansas City Mac and Biggie Smalls. That's a strange coincidence if that's just coincidence.
George Foreman was in the movie too, apparently. It's basically about two guys and Jimmy Walker is fighting for the heavyweight championship
Yes.
of the world. And if you've seen Good Times and you know who Jimmy Walker is basically a string bean with arms and legs. And
Right.
he's fighting for the heavyweight championship of the world. And Sidney Poitier was in the military and he learns how to hypnotize people. So he hypnotizes Bootney Lee Farnsworth into being the meanest, toughest man on the block. And he would go out there and he was whooping up on heavyweight champs in the world, and they were like betting money. It's a funny.
It's hilarious. The whole
Yeah, it's
premise is
hilarious,
funny.
man.
And
Let's Do It Again.
and the third movie that they were in together was A Piece of the Action.
Piece of the Action. Was that
Yes.
no, Uptown Saturday Night was the lottery ticket.
Yes.
That was the lottery
Uptown Saturday Night was the lottery ticket.
ticket.
I don't
Yeah,
even remember what A Piece of the Action was about. I got to go back and look
Yeah.
into these, because
Yeah.
I definitely forgot about that. Like I thought in my mind I only had them in 2 movies together, but
Yeah, they did.
Piece
I
of the
know they
Action.
did a trilogy, but I didn't know the name, The Piece of the Action.
Yeah, I gotta go catch all of these somehow.
But
I gotta watch all of these.
yeah, but Curtis Mayfield's fingerprints was all over that soundtrack. I think the Staple
Right.
Singers were in that soundtrack.
Yeah,
and he wrote the
the Staple Singers actually sing "Let's Do It Again" for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's written by Curtis Mayfield,
Curtis
and the Staple
Mayfield.
Singers do a really good job on that. That song's a classic. Let's Do It Again. If you haven't
Yeah.
heard it by the Staple Singers,
Mhm.
definitely highly recommend. Let's Do It Again by the Staple Singers.
Yeah.
Highly recommend if you haven't heard
Yeah.
that.
So
That's a great song.
His pen game was insane, son.
Yeah, absolutely.
know?
He's prolific.
He's prolific, and mind you, he's owning everything that he writes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
He's ahead of his time. He's like the prince of that time period. Right?
Yeah.
Like owning his publishing was like
Yeah,
a
man.
high priority for him back
Mhm.
then. So
Yeah.
he definitely influenced a lot of people.
And then he also wrote, which is probably the soundtrack that he's most known for, Superfly.
Yeah.
You know,
Superfly.
Superfly, 1972. And I got something. I might have to sing this, right? So we got Little Child Running Wild.
Yeah,
Uh-uh.
yeah.
Here we go. Little child running wild. Watch a while. You'll see he never smiles. Then the horns come in. You know what I'm saying?
I think we
Then
get
it
the
goes.
gist. We get the gist.
Then it goes. Broken home, father gone, mama tired, so he's all alone. Then the horns come in again. He goes. Kind of sad, kind of mad, ghetto child, thinking he's been had. And then the horns come in again. He breaks some horns. In the back of his mind, he's saying, didn't have to be here. You didn't have to love for me. While I was just nothing a child. Why couldn't they just let me be, let me be, let me be, let me be? So that's Little Child Running Wild. And one of the things that I did find out when he wrote this soundtrack, when they brought the soundtrack to him, and this was recorded, and it actually came out in 1972 before the movie even came out.
Hmm.
Um, he hated the movie. He did not like the
I
movie.
saw that too. I saw
Yeah.
that. I saw that in his in the documentary about him. They said that he was really kind of disturbed by the fact that they were glorifying the hustler
The
and
hustler and the
glorifying,
cocaine game.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
they were
Yeah.
glorifying the hustler life, and he
Mhm.
really tried to write a soundtrack that would be the antithesis of that, right? Like it would show you
Yeah.
the downside of that life.
Yeah.
So he wrote Pusher Man and Freddie's Dead and
Mhm.
songs that would end kind of badly, or songs that would show you the downside of this. So it would be kind of the antidote to
Mhm.
to this glorification of the hustler, like he felt, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was an interesting fun fact that he
Yeah, and
actually
his
didn't like the
wife.
movie.
Yeah, and his first wife was saying that when he read the script, he wrote a song right away. Like he was on a flight, he had the first song already written. And then he said he didn't want, instead of glorifying Priest, so the main character's name was Youngblood Priest, I believe. Yeah,
Yeah,
Youngblood Priest. And he was looking for his last big score so he can get out of the game.
yeah,
And so he said instead of glorifying Priest, he was going to write songs that criticized him. So if you listen to the soundtrack, it's nothing glorifying the game at all. It's all like a
right,
precautionary tale. All of his songs are like
yeah,
precautionary tales. Except for he got that Give Me Your Love, the soundtrack, that
yeah.
song, Give Me Your Love. Man, listen.
Yeah, he still had to
That
write some
song is
bops in
fire.
them.
Yeah, he
But
had to
all
write.
but all the song but the funny thing about that, right? The
Mhm,
reason why this is so ironic when we say that he didn't like the movie is
mhm.
because that soundtrack is probably one of the most recognizable soundtracks there is, right? Like it's
Yeah,
at least for that time period and for years later, that soundtrack was kind of the blueprint for a lot of music, man. It's been sampled a lot of times by hip hop artists.
yeah.
The songs are so recognizable, man. Like Superfly, Pusher Man, Freddie's Dead.
Mhm.
Um, it's so kind of tied to that movie and that time period that it's just ironic that to find out that he didn't even like the movie for that
Yeah,
reason. But his reasoning makes sense too, because if you know anything about Curtis Mayfield, you know about him. Once you learn more about him, you understand that he would not have condoned that, right?
yeah.
Um,
He grew
so
up in the church.
yeah.
Mhm.
And not only that he grew up in the church, but he also there's a consciousness in him, right? Like
Yeah,
even when you take away even if you take away the fact that he grew up in the church,
yeah.
there's such a consciousness in his music even prior to this and then
Mhm.
after that to say,
Yeah.
hey, Mr. Mayfield, you want to do a soundtrack about
About a pimp.
it's a movie about this pimp hustler drug dealer that's trying to get out the game.
Mhm.
Um, but and he's gonna be the hero,
Yeah.
right? Is something that goes against. his principles, if you know anything about him, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
but it makes sense that he tried to write something that's kind of the antidote to that, but winds up writing something so good
Yeah.
that that would go over people's head, as it definitely went over mine, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm not getting that from the soundtrack. When I listen to
Yeah.
that soundtrack, I'm not getting that he's trying to write something that's against the hero or the main character. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
getting that these songs are incredible, right?
Yeah.
And they go perfectly with the movie. So, that
Mm-hmm.
definitely would have been it was over my head, right? Like,
Yeah.
so, but when I learned that later, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Ron O'Neal, I think it was Ron O'Neal. This
It
is a
was
true
Ron, it
story.
was Ron O'Neal.
My father was in the barbershop, and when he went and got his hair done at the same barbershop as Ron O'Neal, and Ron O'Neal came in and he was telling all the guys in there that he has this movie coming out.
Mm,
He's like, yeah, man, I got this movie coming out. I'm gonna be this hustler and I'm gonna do this. And everybody's like, yeah, whatever, man. I'm saying, get out of here, Biggie. And then next thing you know, he's Superfly's in the movie is in the movies. And that's pretty much what Ron O'Neal was known for. He didn't really
yeah,
do much. He
yeah,
had spot bits from here and there. But he was also in a different world. He played Whitley Gilbert's father in a different world.
yes.
But he
That
was
may, now,
bald.
now
You know
that,
what I
now
mean?
that, yeah,
Yeah.
now that you say that, I do remember
Hmm.
that. But I probably at the time I wouldn't have
Yeah.
made that connection. But now that you say it, I do remember that.
Yeah.
That's
But
funny,
that's the
and
known that's
I
the
think it's
known
also
that he was best known for.
it's also funny that you said your dad was getting his hair done, not his
Yes.
hair cut.
Yes, getting it done.
I
That's when
like that
dudes
to know.
got
I
those
just want to note
conks.
that. I just want to note that for.
That's right. That's
I
when
just want to
dudes was
note
out
that.
there getting their hair lied, dyed, and
Yeah,
laid to the side, son.
I don't want to let that just pass
Getting
without.
those
Yeah,
potato conks.
yeah. I don't want to
You know what
just.
I'm saying?
I didn't want to just let that just go over everybody's head. Like, your dad was getting his hair done,
Yeah,
not
that
his
that
hair cut.
process. He's getting that process done.
Same
That
as
wavy wave
Superfly,
action.
at the
Yeah,
same
son.
place as Superfly. So,
As Superfly. And I think I have to ask him again if it was Sugar Ray Robinson's place down in Harlem. Because I know he said he would get his hair done at Sugar Ray
man,
Robinson's place down in Harlem back in the day. But yeah, he was
I could
there
just
getting his
imagine
process. He was there getting his process.
he was getting it right. I'm
It
sure he
was,
was getting it
you know what?
right.
It was either his process or his afro, depending on the time. Because my father had the crazy
Now it's an
afro, but
afro.
I
Oh,
think it was
now
the
it's
process.
now it's an afro. All
I
right,
think it was the process. It was
all
probably the
right,
process.
all
I gotta
right.
ask him. I gotta fact or fiction that with my old man. You know. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
facts over
saying?
funny now. It's your
So if
fro.
when he listens to this, he's gonna be listening like, "Yo, man, it was the process, bro."
It's a
You know what I'm saying?
the facts over froze.
Facts over fro. But it's interesting. He's mostly associated with doing that whole soundtrack, and you wouldn't know that he was this big like civil rights movement uh singer songwriter back in the day. So
Right.
that's the irony of that is crazy. But
Yeah,
when I read that he
yeah.
hated it, I was like, it all makes sense.
It's a completely opposite end of the spectrum for him, right? Like,
Hmm.
when you juxtapose those two things, it just doesn't really fit. But the music, like I said, is so incredible that
Yeah.
it's like, who cares? Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you gotta make a dollar somehow. You just gotta make a
Yeah.
buck.
You know?
And he tried his best. I think he tried his best to make it make sense by,
Yeah.
like in his words, he was trying to make something that was kind of against the hero or the story, and
Hmm.
making it kind of the antithesis of what they were trying to do in the movie, which is glorify this lifestyle, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it all makes sense, but
Yeah.
regardless of that, the music is just incredible anyway, right? Like, the body of
Yeah, man.
work is undeniable, right? So
Hmm.
even when he's trying to like kind of wiggle out of it, like, he
Yeah.
can't help but to be a genius and still be
Hmm.
great.
Who was
Um,
Freddie? Was Richard Pryor Freddie? And
no, I don't think so. Nah, Richard Pryor wasn't Freddie.
he wasn't
Nah,
Freddie?
I'm fairly certain.
No, 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 no. It
You
was
could look
hold
it
on,
up
I
real
gotta look
quick.
it up. Yeah.
I'm
It
pretty sure
wasn't Richard
though.
Pryor. I'm thinking
Nah,
of
it wasn't
another
Richard
movie that
Pryor.
Richard Pryor was in.
Funny, because when I try to look this
You
up,
see the whack one, the 2018 one, right?
well, I'm not gonna say it was whack. I'm just gonna say that is the remake of Superfly that came out, later in later years. But that's the first thing that comes up, obviously, because it's the most
Carl
recent.
Lee.
Carl Lee.
No, no, no. Charles McGregor was Fat Freddy.
Okay. Yeah,
talking
I
about
knew it wasn't Richard Pryor. I remember Richard Pryor was like the kind of the side man in the Mac.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. The Mac. When he's like, I ain't no track star. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
He
that's
was
the
in the
Mac
Mac.
that with Goldie.
Yeah, yeah, he was Goldie's man in the Mac. Um, yeah,
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so he tried to write about the pitfalls of the life of the cocaine dealing pimp hustler,
right.
young blood priest. Also, we forgot to mention how Move On Up was, if you listen to Kanye and you listen to like all of these soul producers,
Yeah, yeah.
heavy, heavy,
So
heavy,
Touch
heavy.
the Sky by Kanye
That's the
West
sky.
is a
Mm-hmm.
sample from Move On Up.
Yeah, with those horns. Bing, bing,
Yeah.
bing, 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 bing.
And
Mm-hmm.
Mary J. Blige also has a sample, not that she created, she's not the producer of it, obviously, but Be
Mm-hmm.
Happy sample. The song Be Happy by Mary J. Blige samples You're So Good to Me
Mm-hmm.
by Curtis Mayfield.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting stuff, man. And I'm sure that we could stay here all day and name
Yeah.
probably a a lot of hip hop songs that actually sample
Mm-hmm.
Curtis Mayfield because he was definitely extremely influential on hip hop, similar to Gil Scott Heron, right?
Yeah.
Another Chicago's finest.
Yeah,
But
man.
yeah, so yeah, so he was definitely a big influence on hip hop.
His music defined the hip hop soul era, which Kanye brought into play.
Hmm.
Like James Brown defined the 80s boom bap with like the Bomb Squad for with Public Enemy and stuff. Everybody used the
Sure.
James Brown boom bap, the one,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
jamming on the one. Like James Brown basically basically fathered all of 80s hip hop, so to speak,
pretty much.
with those drums.
Yeah, his
And
drums on all over
all
80s hip
over the
hop.
place. And he just kept, they asked him about it. He was like, yo, keep the checks coming in. I love it. You know, if you love Public Enemy, you're listening to most of James Brown's drops and beats by the Bomb Squad.
Right.
Heavy laden James Brown music. And then with the Kanye West's, the Just Blaze, who else was like a soul? I'm sure I bet you Jay Dilla probably had to have sampled some of something through Curtis Mayfield. I gotta look
Probably,
through to see if he's,
probably.
I'm sure Curtis has some
Like
fingerprints on
Pete
Jay
Rock.
Dilla's work than Pete Rock, with those horns. So he heavily influenced the soul era of like the 2000s hip hop,
Right.
you know. Um so his estate is probably still getting checks. Those checks are in the mail for his estate with the music and the sampling of all the platinum selling albums and songs that have sampled his music and used his music. The soundtrack, I'm sure Superfly soundtrack is probably still selling to this day. He has the Let's Do It Again soundtrack, all the music that he wrote for the Staples singers. He had Donny Hathaway on his first full label.
Claudine.
Claudine with that fine Diane Carroll, son, with
And
the both
doing that
versions,
whole soundtrack, like that
the
whole
whole
soundtrack
thing.
is written by Curtis Mayfield. So
Yeah.
Mr. Welfare is on that soundtrack.
Hmm.
I guess like if you're not into this, like you wouldn't know these songs.
Yeah.
But Make Yours a Happy Home, To Be Invisible.
Hmm.
Wow. Yeah,
He wrote a lot of stuff.
he had a lot of deep songs on that sound. Like he had a lot of deep songs, period. But
Yeah.
yeah,
That's like that Babyface before Babyface, because Babyface penned that whole Wait Until Exhale, like the entire thing.
right, right,
So
yeah. I think he just did like a tiny desk or some sort of like little mini concert like where he
it was
sang.
just the Wait Until Exhale soundtrack.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think he did that last year.
Okay,
Imagine just penning an entire soundtrack.
yeah. It's another yeah. It's another prolific writer, Babyface. So
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah,
But
he
yeah,
he
Curtis Mayfield was before all of this, right? Like Curtis Mayfield even influenced like Marvin Gaye and Stevie Wonder, right? And like
hmm
especially the messaging
Bob
when you
Marley.
right, Bob Marley. Like when you talk about any artist that had a message, it seemed like Curtis Mayfield was the first to have the kind of like the I don't know what you call it, like courage or consciousness or just this
Mhm.
combination of both to
Yeah.
come out and just say what he actually thought about what was happening in society through his music, right?
Yeah.
He had a song called Darker Than Blue. He had a song, We Need
Ah, I
Peace.
forgot about Darker Than
Yeah,
Blue.
We Need
Yeah.
Peace. So he was speaking directly to like the Vietnam soldiers in Vietnam because he knew that most of them, and on the front lines at least, there was a lot of black and brown folks on the front lines in
Mhm.
Vietnam. So he was writing songs that spoke directly to them at the time, right? I think it was like Back to the World was another one,
Yeah.
where in his documentary, like they interviewed a soldier that had come back from Vietnam, and he said that Back to the World was one of the things that kept their mind right because well, I was saying that was something that they would say to each other, like, "Hey, how many days till you go back to the world?" And that was their way of
Mhm.
saying, like, getting back to the United States, getting back home, right?
Yeah.
We Need Peace was another one. So he was writing definitely with the people in mind. He's like the people's champ,
Yeah.
regardless of record sales and regardless of radio play, he was the people's champ. And I think
Mhm.
that was a big, heavy influence on the other artists that would follow, right?
Yeah. And some of
Because
the
yeah,
artists, as you said, here's a list. I wrote down some of the
sure,
Jimi Hendrix, of course, who
yeah,
is arguably the greatest guitar player of all time, who they say is heavy. His playing is
greater
heavily
than Eric
inspired by him.
Clapton. Is he greater than Eric Clapton? You think?
Absolutely.
No, I'm just messing around. Shout out to Eric Clapton though,
Shout out to
but shout out to Jimmy Hendrix.
yeah, Bob Marley, Tracy Chapman, Sly Stone,
Mm,
Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, and Sinead O'Connor listed
nice.
him as one of her influences
Yeah.
in music. And it was the songs they said Castles Made of Sand and Drifting by Jimi Hendrix. They said if you
Okay.
listen to those songs in particular, you'll hear the heavy influence of Curtis Mayfield in the way that Jimi Hendrix played his guitar on those songs. So, those are big names. Those are heavy
Yeah,
hitters, man.
those are all legends in their own right, right? Like
Yeah.
so Curtis Mayfield is the inspiration for the legends. He's your favorite artist.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Unfortunately, though, in 1990, um, at the Brooklyn Wingate Field in Flatbush, he was performing and he was in an accident that paralyzed him from the neck down. Some lighting fell on him from above.
Yeah.
Yeah. And from what I was reading, it was a terrible storm, like 50-mile-an-hour winds and rains coming in so much so like it blew the first two rows of seating. And the promoter decided to still let the show go on. And just as he got on stage, they said the wind was so bad that his drummer's cymbals like blew off and he had to catch
Mm,
them just in time. That's how bad the wind was. And then when he got on stage, this lighting fell on him and broke like three of his vertebrae. I think they said C3, C4, and C5 and left him paralyzed from the neck down. When he
mm,
woke, he said he didn't even remember what happened to him. He didn't know. He knew not what happened to him. He just like woke up in the hospital, and that was pretty much, of course, the end of his playing career. And he still sang and wrote, but he he found out he still wrote, and I think he sang a couple more songs that
mhm.
he wrote, and he realized that he wasn't able to sing while sitting up
Right.
because he was what is that, a paraplegic from the neck, or is it the
He's
quadriplegic?
actually
Quadriplegic
quadriplegic.
from the
Yeah,
neck
for the neck.
down
Yeah,
is
from
a
the neck down, he's quadriplegic. Yeah.
is a neck down. But what he realized is that he can lay down on his back
Right.
and let gravity take over and like help push the air through his lungs, and he was able to sing lying on his back. So he's still working in his last days, and you thought that would kill him, but what actually killed him was he died of type 2 diabetes.
Really, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, he died of
Yeah.
type 2 diabetes in 1999. Let me see. Let me
Yeah, it
make
was
sure I
it
got
was
that
the
thing.
December 1999. I know he
December
passed in December
26th,
9.
the day after Christmas. The day after
Yeah, like
Christmas,
it was December
1999.
1999, but I didn't know that he died of diabetes.
Yeah, he died of type 2 diabetes. He survived by 10 children. He had 10 children, yo.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, he
That's
was
incredible.
prolific.
Yeah, he was prolific.
Yo, he was
More
prolific
ways
on and
than
off the
one.
stage. He was married twice and he had 10 children.
Yeah.
Um, So he was prolific. So that's how his journey ended. Unfortunately, he died in
Yeah,
1999. He was born in what 42, so that made him
57. Yeah,
57 years old.
he was 57.
He was 48 when the accident happened.
Right. And another
Yeah.
fact about that, they said that the last song that he recorded before that accident was with Ice-T.
Oh, the yes, that's right.
I
You
think it's
remember
like
the name of it?
I think it's called Superfly 1990 or something like that.
Yeah.
Because that accident happened in 1990,
Mhm.
right? And but yeah, I mean, unfortunately, like, it's just crazy, man, like that something like that would happen to somebody that is doing so much kind of good in the world,
Yeah.
and somebody has such a great talent. Like, it's tragic for that to happen to anyone, but it feels doubly tragic when it happens to somebody like that, right? And
Yeah.
when I watched an interview with him, and he was by this point he had the accident, and he was at his home in Atlanta, and the interviewer asked him like what he was doing, because this was like recent after the accident, after he was, he was home for a while,
Mhm.
and the interviewer asked him what he was doing with all his ideas, right? Being such a prolific writer, he asked him like, "What are you doing with the ideas now?" And Curtis Mayfield kind of made the point that um he feels like he still has the ideas,
Yeah.
but without the ability to quickly jot them down, or without the ability to get in the studio and just play around and put them to some music, he
Mhm.
said that they would fade away sometimes like dreams.
Yeah.
And that was like heartbreaking, to hear.
Yeah.
Um, and obviously, like you said, like he found a way to lay on his back and
Mhm.
sing the songs kind of slowly, or a few lyrics at a time, and then the
Yeah.
technology got to the point where they could stitch together the lyrics, like the same as rappers do today,
Yeah.
where you could kind of punch in. You say a few lines, and they'll keep punching it in until you're done.
Mhm.
He was doing something similar to that, like where he would say some lyrics, because his diaphragm was obviously paralyzed,
Yeah.
so he had to kind of say a few lyrics, kind of rest, and then do some more, right?
Yeah.
Um, but it like I said, it just feels like doubly tragic when something like that happens to somebody that's producing, and kind of bringing so much life to the world, in terms of their art, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but it's still like it doesn't take anything away from the blessing that he was to the world, and
Yeah.
to have 10 children, like you said, he was pretty prolific, and
Yeah.
on and off the stage, right? On and in and
Mhm.
out of the studio. So that's also a blessing.
Yeah, and he has the most distinct voice. Like him, his falsetto. I think the only person who comes close to his falsetto that I know of personally would be like Ron Isley. Like they have like
Yes, like in terms of like the recognizable
recognizable
voice,
falsettos. Yeah, would
you
be
know,
like
I
Ron
think
Isley.
Eric Benet would be pissed at us right now if he could hear us say that. But shout out to him.
Yeah, that's true. But
And
but his is he's more powerful.
Maxwell would probably want to fight too. If But
Yeah,
anyway.
probably.
No, I'm just saying there's a few falsettos out there that might be mad at this, but
Yeah,
I think they would also admit that Curtis
yeah, but you
Mayfield has one
gotta.
of the most distinctive, and
Mm-hmm.
Ron Isley has probably one of the most distinctive as well. Like when it comes down to like classic,
Yeah.
they're kind of the originators of that sound.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
So
so
there you
shout
go.
out to them.
Shout out to them. It would be dope if Maxwell and Eric when they actually heard us, our
Oh yeah,
podcast.
yeah, they're
Yes,
probably not going to hear this.
they're never going to hear this anyway. But you know what I'm saying?
Like if you know Eric Benet, if you know Maxwell, tell them we said
Tell them
that
Reds
Curtis
and
Mayfield
Made in Red said.
has the most distinctive falsetto ever of all time, followed closely by Ron Isley, and that's it. Tell them Main and Rand said it.
Oh man. Oh, you know what? You know what? Before we go to a quick to go back to Donny Hathaway,
Uh-huh.
and when you said Eric Benet, it automatically made me remember. I saw an interview with Eric Benet, and Eric Benet was friends with Bill Weathers.
Okay.
And he was telling a story how apparently Bill Weathers and Donny Hathaway were really close. They were really close friends, almost like best friends.
Wow. Wow.
And Yeah, and Bill Withers said that he was in LA or California. He was about to do a recording. He's about to record in the studio and he got a call from Donny Hathaway. And Donny Hathaway was really down and telling him like, "Yo, brother, I need you. I need you, brother," you know? So he automatically, because the way he sounded and he said, "This is my friend, like I need you." He jumped right on a plane and headed to New York,
Mm.
right? And he said he got to New York and he couldn't find Donny Hathaway. Then when finally found him, he was like, "Yo, brother, I'm here. What you need?" He was like, "Oh man, you know what? Don't worry about it. I'm good. I feel fine. I'm good now." He said he was so mad that he cussed him out. Cause he's like, "Yo, I just flew from the West Coast to the East Coast. Like I just flew from the
Yeah.
West Coast to the East Coast because you said you needed me and you was down bad and I'm here. Now you always." And Donny Hathaway was just when he got there, he was like, "What? What you doing here?" Like, "Oh, I'm good. Don't worry about it. You good. You can leave. You can go back now." And he was like, "Go back. You know what I had to do to get this studio time to book this studio and all this?" And he said he was so mad and so upset with him. And then he got on the plane and he went back to California. And as soon as he touched down, he got the call that Donny Hathaway had died.
Oh,
Yeah.
no way.
Yeah, he said as soon as he went back, as soon as he touched back down in LA,
Oh
like he had
man.
got. I heard Eric Benet told that story. I just heard that story. I think he was on a podcast and he was telling the
Mm.
story about it. And he was like,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
when he got back, that's when and he had. I think the stories switched changed whether he jumped or he fell off the balcony of his
right.
of his room in I forgot what hotel here in New York City.
Oh man.
But yeah, yeah. So, depression is real. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
that's
saying? So
heartbreaking, man. That's
yeah,
heartbreaking.
yeah, and the last the last thing he did was like fussing him out. He was fussing
Yeah,
him out to
yeah.
tell him like, yo,
That story,
so
yeah, it was a funny story up until
yeah, and then it takes a
then.
twist,
Yeah.
but
Jeez.
yeah, that's a little tidbit of information about that some when you said Eric Benet, that just jogged my memory. I just heard that story like last month, a few weeks ago, last month. So, R.I.P. to all of these guys. R.I.P. Gone but not forgotten, and the music will always live on. We always have this music. Go listen, stream it, buy it, Spotify it, Apple Music it, whatever you listen to, Pandora it, whatever
Absolutely.
you listen to music on. Check out that Curtis Mayfield and that Donny Hathaway and that Yesterday remake by Donny Hathaway, the remake of the Beatles Yesterday. Donny Hathaway live.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Make
You
sure
got
you're in
anything
really
else, my
good
good brother?
make sure you're in really good spirits before you listen to
Yes.
Donny Hathaway sing Yesterday. I haven't
Yes.
heard it yet myself, but
Hmm.
I can only imagine that that's an emotional time listening
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah.
No, I didn't have anything else, man. Like I think we covered it, man. I think we covered it.
All right. So this concludes our latest episode 40 of the Gen X
Episode
Cheese Pod.
40.
Episode 40.
It's
We
a
are
that it's
only
a little
12
milestone. Yeah.
12 episodes away from our 1 year anniversary. 12 weeks away. That's right. That's right.
40 episodes is a little milestone in and of itself. So, shout out
Hmm.
to us.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, I can't believe.
Yeah, I can't even believe it, man. Like this goes from like an idea and a conversation to
Hmm.
we're 40 episodes in, and hopefully, the people listening to us, they're enjoying us, and they're getting something out of it in terms of like what we originally set out to accomplish was to be
Hmm.
obviously entertaining and obviously to have fun because we spend a lot of time laughing at our own jokes, but
Hmm.
hopefully, hopefully
Yeah.
we're giving out information and we're adding value and it's somewhat entertaining as well to you guys out there listening to us. And again, like it's 40 episodes to me. That's a milestone in and of itself, like I said. And
Yes.
I just wanted to say thanks to whoever's out there listening, people downloading, people streaming it. If you're listening to us on your, wherever you get your podcast, if you're watching us now on YouTube, if you're
Yeah.
if you're following us on social media, especially Instagram, shout out to you because it's it's kind of an honor that people even reach back out to us and know what we said on this thing, right? Like,
Hmm.
'cause it's always interesting to me. It never gets old when somebody mentions something that we talked about on the podcast.
Yeah.
Um, So I always get a thrill out of that. Like when somebody says or references something back to me,
Yeah.
I get a kick out of it. It never gets old, and I hope it continues. Because that's why we're doing it. Like we, not only for ourselves, but for you guys out there to get some value of it, or out of it, or to relate to something that we're saying, or to just have a thought sparked. Even if I like it, even when people correct us on things, right? Like we
Yeah.
do a fact over funny sometimes because of you guys out there. We
Hmm.
might say something and you might say, you know what, that's not exactly correct. Or somebody might give me more information that kind of just causes me to learn even more. Right. So all of it is great. All of it is of value. And just thanks again, Thanks to everybody.
Yeah. Thank you. And we promise when Main and Rants become famous podcasters, we promise we won't forget our now day 40s. Day ones
Absolutely.
and everybody else in between. And as usual, and as always, we definitely not gonna forget you, our day one. And special shout out too, because when I'm in the gym and I'm working in the gym, people come up to me and say that they listen to the podcast. And I want to take space. Two names in particular, Susan and Declan. I know you guys always listen. They always come to me. They tell me that they like the podcast. They're always asking me what's the next episode. And they're right here with us on every episode. You know what I'm saying? I know that we do a
Okay. Shout
lot.
out to them.
Yeah, we're always like every week, like clockwork. And you know why, right, Maine?
Because we are prolific.
That's right, my brother. We are prolific. We're putting out a podcast every week. So we know some of you guys maybe just in the 20s, in the teens, in the single digits, but we want to say thank you. We're grateful that you are listening to us. And for you guys that are totally caught up, we appreciate you guys as well. So like I said, we're
Absolutely.
not going to forget y'all when Main and Rants are famous podcasters because we getting it out the mud.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I'm saying? So we will be back, same Gen X time, same Gen X place, and we will see you guys next week. Peace
Power to
and
the
power to the
podcast.
podcast.
Peace.